Hello there, everybody. It's JB with a with a special end of season video, focusing on my club Burnley and how well or how badly they might have done this season. So I'm just going to have a 10-15 minute video, just dedicated to my club, and you can take my opinions at face value. You can agree with them, you can disagree with them, and that sort of thing. But basically, I've come on just to discuss Burnley's season so far. We've successfully stayed up for a fourth year, which is great. We haven't done that since the late 60s, early 70s, so another record really broken undershot. But it's been quite a mixed season, really. I mean, there was the great adventure with the European Tour, which ended in controversy against Olympiacos, where we were robbed, and we should have actually ended up going into the groups, I feel. And then but it didn't help us having to start our European campaign in late July, which was not ideal because we didn't have the full squad. Also, we didn't have a proper pre-season, which held us back a little bit in the league. And then there was people that just weren't performing in the first half of the season. I'll touch on the signings and Dyche and how well he needs to improve next year. I think I think he needs to be more tactical savvy. But all in all, I mean, we've stayed up, and for a club like Burnley, we have to accept that. But there were some very there were some great moments. There were some bad moments. Mostly bad in the first half of the season. First of all, let me gauge the summer signings. We signed 3 players, and I didn't think they were good enough. One of them wasn't certainly good enough, and I'll touch on Joe Hart in a second. We also bought Matty Vidra, who hasn't been really given a chance, although he had a couple. And Ben Gibson, again, he hasn't had much of a chance because certainly, he only played started one game all season. That was the 5-1 against Everton, and funnily enough, he scored in that game. But yet he kept faith with Ben Mee. At that point, and I didn't think that was right, but there you go. Matty Vidra didn't get a game, but I'm going to touch on Joe Hart. Why Dyche needed to buy another goalkeeper, I've no idea. I think Lindegaard could have done a job for a couple of weeks until Heaton was fit, because I think if Tom had come back a lot sooner, then I don't think we would have been in the predicament we're in. Joe Hart was a waste of £4 million, and a waste of many wages. I think we need him off the wage bill. I think we need to sell him in the summer. I think it was a poor judgment signing from Dyche. Joe Hart, he was a great keeper. He was a great keeper a few years ago, but maybe Adrian Durham at the start of the season had a point when he tipped us for relegation, because Joe Hart has probably been playing badly for 2 or 3 years since that clanger in the Euros against Iceland. Goalkeepers is a difficult position. We've got two quality goalkeepers at the club. Obviously, Pope will be frustrated he hasn't been able to get back into the team. But then Tom is the number one. He's the captain. He's there definitely on merit. He's back in the England squad. And we don't need Joe Hart. So why should we pay him extortionate amount of money to have him sit on the bench? I think he needs to go. That was a poor signing. And then we bizarrely signed Peter Crouch, who probably made about 3 appearances. I can understand Vaux wanting to leave because obviously he wasn't getting the first team football. But when you've got Matty Vidra and a couple of other players that could turn a game, I think we would have been okay with just Vidra as well, because he would have added something different. Crouch was more the same as Chris Wood. It just didn't sit right with me. 38 years old. That was the worst. I think that's got to be. I mean, no disrespect to Crouch. I mean, if we'd have signed him if he was at his peak around 29, 30, I think he would have been a very good player for 2 or 3 years. But he's 38. Yes, it was a 3. Maybe it didn't cost us that much in wages. But again, Burnley going down the cheap option. And I'm not going to shout because I'm past caring, but with all this malarkey, I said what I had to say in January, but hopefully now we'll get Crouch off the books, we'll get Hart off the books, We're losing Ward. We're losing a couple of others, I think, in the summer. So, and Stephen Ward, can I just say, what a servant he has been to Burnley Football Club. Absolutely superb. Right, post-mortem of the season. First half of the season I'm going to touch on first. So we get into the season, we're playing Aberdeen, competitive 2 legs. We won that after extra time. Then we knocked out Istanbul, and then we got cheated in Greece. But after that, the league season really was an horrendous start. We played well. I think first match we played really well against Southampton. Should have won that game. And then we played Watford at home the next week. We got absolutely slaughtered 3-1. Andre Gray scored an absolute worldie, to be fair, against us, a former Burnley striker. And, there's nothing you can do about them. And then we got to Fulham, get absolutely slaughtered 4-2. And it was a slaughter. Ben Mee and James Tarkowski were not performing. Ben Mee especially, I've had a lot of criticism of him this season. Yes, he has had a good second half of the season, but in the first half of the season, being captain, I think seemed to go to his head a little bit. Now, I'm not knocking Ben Mee, excuse me, but sometimes, we lost heavily to Manchester United too, and then we lost to Chelsea 4-0. There was the 4-0 against Bournemouth, which we won, and we won at Cardiff, which was an important result as it turned out over the course of the season. So there were one or two bright spots in the first half of the season, but not much. The game against Newcastle I was particularly annoyed at because Ben Mee again showed his lack of defensive nous, trying to block a shot which wasn't clearly going towards goal. And it loops in. Second one, he goes to sleep and allows a free header for Clark. It's just not on. And we lose the game 2-1. And obviously we go to Tottenham and Arsenal and come out on the wrong end of refereeing decisions. And then Christmas time, it was horrendous. Beaten 5-1. And I've got to say, that was an horrendous game. Not just for Ben Mee, by the way, but for everyone else. Joe Hart had a stinker. James Tarkowski had a stinker. They all had stinkers, quite honestly, because we went 5 at the back against really what you could describe an average Everton team in a lot of respects. They're not a top 6 side at the moment, but I think with heavy investment, I'm sure they'll be knocking on the door. And I think we finished 8th in the end, Everton, but we were beaten 5-1. And then the penny dropped with Sean Dyche. We hit rock bottom, and then all of a sudden, 2 changes in the team, 2 crucial changes in the team, changed the entire course of our season. Joe Hart, quite rightly, was dropped. Tom Heaton was back in, and more importantly, from Ben Mee's point of view, relinquished the captaincy. Tom Heaton took over the captaincy. And then we played young Dwight McNeil, who actually impressed in the 2 games earlier on in the season against Olympiacos and Manchester United, which he actually played quite well in both. Why he didn't play until then is a mystery, but in he came. And then results picked up. We won. I think we got 6 points from the next 2 games. We picked up a 2-0 victory against West Ham, then came from behind in a battling performance at Huddersfield. Beat Barnsley in the Cup, then we beat Fulham. And I think it was something like 12 to 13 games unbeaten. Showing exceptionally good form, exceedingly good form at that stage in the season. And really, in a weird sort of way, we were 6th in the form table, and then we beat Spurs, which was a great performance, and then Wood and Barnes started scoring, which was fantastic as well. And then obviously then we had a couple of we won at Brighton as well in the run. Then we lost 3 on the bounce. We should have beaten Leicester in the third of those games. I felt we should have done better up at Newcastle when we lost 2-0, but the goal from Shell was an absolute belter. You can't argue with that. Second one was poor defending. But to be fair, we had 7 games left, and the 3 that we needed to win realistically were against Wolves, Bournemouth away, and Cardiff at home. Those were going to be the 3 games that defined our season, and we needed at least 7 to 9 points from those games, knowing that our last 4 were going to be against Chelsea away, Manchester City at home, Everton away, and Arsenal on the last day. 4 top sides to come in those last 4 games, but we needed those points. Wolves already, I think, had one mind on Wembley the next week. We've absolutely beaten 2-0. I thought it was a comfortable victory. That got us moving. And then I was hoping for a point at least from Bournemouth the next week. Go on down to an unfortunate own goal. But then we showed some spunk and came back very strongly. I thought Westwood had one of his best games in a Burnley shirt ever. In fact, actually, Westwood, I'll touch on him on a very positive note later. I have to say, great comeback. Westwood had a terrific game, and we won 3-1. And then against Cardiff, it was a tough game. A wood double, and we stayed up. 39 points. We'd done it. And then to add icing on the cherry on the cake, we go to Chelsea, get an unexpected point, which took us to that magical 40 points mark. Unfortunately, we didn't win any of our last 3 games. But by then, we'd sealed our survival and finished 15th, which, to be fair, considering where we were at Christmas, we were at 3 or 4 points from safety. I think any right-minded Burnley fan would have took that. So, it was a bit of a poor start to the season, but the form massively picked up in the second half of the season, and I think we were in the second half of the season we'd have been in the top 6. And if we'd have just had a percentage of the results that we had, we could have been in the top 10. Maybe outside chance of battling for the 7th spot, which Wolves deservedly got, by the way. Finishing 7th was no mean feat, definitely for Wolves anyway, in terms of their season. There are 1 or 2 things I want to pull up on. Certain players, certain signings, the recruitment could be better now. Also, these are a couple of, before I touch on my player of the year and the positive things to end the video, there are a few things that need to happen in the summer. Or need to happen next season. Firstly, I think Dyche needs to be a bit more tactical savvy, especially in the Premier League. He's been in it now for 3 years and he's done a great job. 16th place, 7th place and 15th place. So he's kept us up there, to be fair. So he's done a terrific job. Certainly one of the best managers in Burnley history. Record breaker, of course. But I think as regards substitutions, if things aren't working for Burnley around about 10-15 minutes in the second half, he doesn't change it at that particular time usually. He usually leaves it until it's very, very late. Sometimes it will be, even when we're 1 down, we don't make the substitutions. He has to wait until we go 2-0, 3-0 down before he reacts. He needs to be alert. If he knows that something's not working and there's still a chance at 1-0, or we're trailing 1-0, or we're at 1-1 going into the last sort of half an hour, and he's got good players on the bench that could turn the game, why not? So I think Dyche needs to be a bit more savvy as regards his tactics and maybe substitutions. I think 4-4-2 is the right fit still for Burnley. I think we're better when we're at 4-4-2 because the players know their roles, and Dyche will obviously get the players into that position. And next year I think we need to have a better window than the previous 2. Hopefully Mike Rigg, our technical director, this is where he needs to earn his money, because this guy's he comes with a brilliant reputation of bringing in quality players from Manchester City, namely Vincent Kompany, Sergio Aguero, and David Silva, to name but 3. And you see what they've done for Manchester City over the last decade or more. So this is what I think needs to happen. I think we need to have a good window with the transfer market. I think we need to bring the average age of the squad down, stick to the principles, but try and play a bit of football along the deck as well. I think that's what probably we've been lacking all season. So, I mean, fair enough, you can hoof it all you want, it does get results, but it's not the most entertaining blend of football that you can see. I think we can win games when we do play it across the deck and we can pass it. I think we need pace in the team. Maybe a pacey winger to complement McNeil. No disrespect to Johan Gudmundsson. I don't think he's the paciest of players, but he's done well for us, no doubt about it. I think we need a pacey striker. and really give Wood and Barnes a bit of a challenge up front, because them two look virtually indestructible and untouchable this season, certainly in the two main striking positions. But we need competition for places all over the park. Goalkeeper, I think we're okay. I think if Hart goes, you're going to have a straight duel between Nick Pope and Tom Heaton. I think that's absolutely important. I think you've got two brilliant England goalkeepers there that will battle it out. I think Dyche will probably play Pope in the cups and Heaton in the league. I think, depending on how far Burnley get in the cups, because we never seem to try. I'd also like to have a run at one of the cups, maybe the FA Cup next season, see if we can actually get to a quarter-final or a semi-final at least, if not the final, and have a bit of a cup run. That was one of the. I think that was a big regret of our Europeans, our seventh place, that we didn't do ourselves justice in both cup competitions. The League Cup, we went out against Leeds with a whimper on penalties, and then we lost to Manchester City 4-1 when we led. And we could have won that match as well. There were a few key decisions. So there were regrets that the season before last that we could have done a bit better in the Cups. But I'd like to see us improve next year in the league. I think 10th place is not beyond the realms of, I think a 10th place or 10th or 11th place finish, comfortable with the table, is not too much to ask next season. I think the Burnley squad is capable of a finish like that. Hopefully we won't have another relegation battle. I couldn't stand any more of that for next year. But I think we need to do better than we have done this year. We need to keep improving, getting. We don't have that burden now of European football. I think if we get a full pre-season behind us, I think we'll do really well in the league next season. And I think I wouldn't rumble with a 9th or 10th or 11th place finish. I think that would be a fantastic little season that for Burnley. So that's what I'm hoping for next year. Player of the year, well, there were a few candidates, certainly in the second half of the season. Barnes and Wood, they hit just over 20 goals between them. A great return for them. Really good mobile strikers. When given the service, Dwight McNeil. I'm going to give McNeil my young player of the year. Burnley young player of the year is going to go for Dwight McNeil. I think McNeil has been a breath of fresh air. When Burnley were at the lowest ebb, he was the guy that came in against West Ham and he performed magnificently. And he stayed in the team all the way through the second half of the season. Why he didn't play against Everton, well, I will never know, because I think if he'd have started the game, I think the match would have been a lot different. But his form was exceptional. He's got himself an England under-21 spot, I think, now. He's trained with the full England side. It's been a remarkable 6 months for the guy. And he's a Burnley lad. He's one of our own. He's a great player to watch. He plays without any fear, and he goes for it. And I'd like to see more of that from the other Burnley players as well as Dwight. Dwight McNeil is a fantastic talent. We've signed him for another few years as well. He's on a contract now. And it's going to take an awful lot of money for bigger clubs to prize him away from us, I believe. I think we can keep him for at least another couple of seasons if we show the ambition, certainly for Dwight. I think he's a top-class player, and I think we've got a good one there. Player of the year, to finish, Ashley Westwood. Is Ashley Westwood. Now, of course, Barnes and Wood featured very highly. I'm sorry about that. Barnes and Wood featured very highly on my agenda for Player of the Year. But you can't just have the strikers take all the glory. You've got to have substance as well. And people say Ashley Westwood never gets a mention by any pundits, but this season he has had his best season in a Burnley shirt. You can't knock him for that, and he's been superb. I think the best game, he's been Mr. Consistency all season. I think his best game was against Bournemouth, in a game that we really did need to win to stay up, and he played his part. He played his part in all the matches, even the ones that we were struggling in. He was playing really well. So as far as I'm concerned, the Clarets Player of the Year, without a shadow of a doubt, Ashley Westwood. Well done, mate, and very well deserved. Right, that was my end of season review with Burnley. Don't forget tonight, we're going to be focusing on the playoffs again. Leeds United this time against Derby County. Leeds won up from a very controversial first leg. Tonight has got a lot to live up to after last night's drama. And also I want to thank everybody that tuned in last night as well. Fantastic banter towards the end between the West Brom fans and Aston Villa. Plenty of great respect on the chat in the end after a few dodgy moments at the start, but which we need not concern ourselves with. So Leeds against Derby. Hope you can join me from 7:30. It's important that you join me at 7:30 tonight, not 7:45, because 7:45 will be the kick-off time for tonight's semi-final. 7:45 tonight, the kick-off at Ellen Road, not 8 PM as last night. Okay, thank you very much for watching. If you have enjoyed the video, leave a like. If you haven't subscribed to the channel and you'd like to, hit that subscribe button, please. And if you want notifications, hit that notification bell. You know what to do now, folks. No problem. Anyway, see you a bit later on. Audio commentaries only. We can't show match footage for obvious reasons. I've done a video saying just that. If you look in my channel page, you'll see the video. But until then, until tonight, enjoy yourselves, and you'll hear me again from 7:35 tonight. Take care now. Have a good day. Bye bye.